Hello, my friends. It's Kim. Today I'm going to be planting some potatoes. So I wanted to show you how I do it in a large garden, and then I had a request for how I would do it on, say, a balcony or a porch. So I'm going to give you a couple of options for that as well. But I wanted to show you these potatoes. Remember what I told you? They had to crust over or dry. You can see these are perfectly dry now. There's no moisture on the surface, and they won't rot so much in the ground because, they're dry and less likely to sit there and rot. So these are ready to go. The other potatoes that I had out, these back here, are not quite ready. You could see they're getting their little eyes on them. Now this process can take some time. I did have a question on how could I get them started easier, and I had to think about that for a minute. What I do is, remember, my potatoes have been in a lower cabinet. They've been in the dark. These have not. This is the one I'm hoping that little purple one will grow. What you need to do is take them and bring them into a warm, dark environment for a couple of days. It's telling them, oh, wait, maybe I'm planted. If they don't get started, like my potatoes that, I bought in the bag, then you need to trick them into believing that it's time to grow. So put them in a warm, dark place for just a couple of days, then bring them out, let them get in the light. The eyes will start to develop. Now remember, 2 days ago, these were just barely coming out the surface. So you could see they're starting to get some decent growth on them. Yes, I could cut these and plant these, but I like to see just a little bit more. I'm going to let it go to about that big. So I know the eyes are developing. I need to know if any eyes are going to develop on this end of the plant because I have to cut this one up a lot. And I don't want to cut this off here if nothing's going to grow out that end. I'll use that in a way to maybe cut it on an angle like this where I have an eye so it has some food for the plant to grow. But these are not ready yet. This is the grocery store one. This is one of those little baby ones that I got in that organic bag. I'm going to let those go a little bit longer. We will take, these are the red potatoes. They're ready to go. We'll get out in the garden, and then I will save back a couple to show you a couple of options that you have to grow them on a porch, in pots, on a balcony, however you want to grow your potatoes. So let's get to it. Okay, I got my trench ready to plant my potatoes right here. Now, remember I told you before, we have extremely heavy clay. That's it. That is solid clay level, and I'm not going to get any lower than that. So what do I have? 3 inches maybe? What I like to do, I have to be careful in the spring. We're not getting a whole lot of rain this year. If I plant too early, these trenches will flood and my potatoes can drown. But if I don't get them onto contact with the clay level, in the summer when we get very little rain, they don't get watered enough. So clay for me is both a curse and a blessing. I have to be careful with it. I want the potato to touch the clay so that in the summertime, if I do water, it's going to lay on that clay level and it's going to allow those potatoes to get some water. Now they won't go down. My potatoes never go down. They'll go out a little bit, but mostly they're going to go up. So I'll need to hill these up. You can see that I've raked it up to the side there. And I will continue as the time goes and they grow. I will continue to hill them up a little bit wider and a lot taller than this. So I'm going to go ahead and put the potatoes down in the trench, and I'll show you the next step that I like to do. You'll see what I did here was I laid them just on the top of that trench. And if you'll notice, I put my cut sides up because once again, I don't want to worry about them rotting against that clay soil. It's not totally warmed up yet, and I don't want them just sitting there on that cold, damp ground. So I went all the way down this trench, spacing my potatoes out. All right, like so. Now I'll show you what I'm going to do next, and that has to do with my old animal bedding. This is just stuff, it's full of feathers, and it's got a little bit of chicken poop in it. It's got a little bit of goat poop in it. It's a bunch of straw and hay that the chickens kick around in the barn all winter long. And I use that to put a very light layer on top of these. Because remember, it may rain here, and if we get a ton of rain, I don't want these soaking in the ground. They have to be able to breathe. So I'm going to put a light layer of this on top, and later I could come back and start putting soil over top of that when I know the weather has dried up enough here, so I'm not going to worry about drowning these. What I've done, here's the trench. Now as you go along, you will see I did a very light, I almost like sifted it over the top. That's going to, you know, get down in there. The potatoes may show if it if it rains really hard, and that's okay. They're not going to die if they're above the ground. You don't want them making potatoes above the ground because the potatoes turn green and they're no good. But while they're getting ready to grow, it's not a big deal. So let me see if I can show you what I mean by lightly sifting it over the top, okay? Hopefully you're in a good view because it's too light out here and it's hard to see. All right, you might wonder why I don't just put the dirt over it. See those clumps right there? That's my soil. This is what I have to work with. It's sticky and it's very heavy. It's difficult for them to get through. I have to wait till this dries out a lot so that I can break it up some more. And usually it comes, I'm going to get clumps like this. That's what I'm going to be able to use to bury my stuff in. You can see it's really hard. This is my soil here. It's heavy and it's dense. So I do what I can to plant without having to purchase a bunch of soil just to lay on top. Okay, very briefly, my row is done. You could see that my trench is level now with this animal waste. And once I start seeing green shoots, I'm going to very lightly rake this over the top like this. I just want to cover the shoots as they come up. So I don't want to pack it down. I could do it now, I could do it later. I choose to do it later once I start seeing my green shoots. But that's it. And I will continue to put layers of animal waste, if I can get it, some straw. You have to be very careful with the straw. You don't want hay. Hay has a ton of weed seeds in it. You have to make sure you get straw from a neighbor or a farmer who does not spray it. Some of them, they are sprayed and it'll kill your garden. It'll destroy your soil. So that's why I choose to use mine. I know the farmer who sold me this. This is a mix of straw and hay, but the chickens have had plenty of time to pull out all the seeds and stuff like that. And that's it. This is done for now. I don't have to touch it again. I'll come back here when the next row, next type of potatoes, these are the Norland Red that I planted. When the Kennebecks are ready, those will be about 3 feet apart. I'll do another row just like this, so I have soil to dig up between the two and hill them up. And I just wait for Mother Nature to tell me it's time to start picking me some potatoes. So that's how you do it in a garden, especially if you have heavy clay soil like I do. I wish I had a nice light loam that I could dig down a foot. It'd be a lot easier. But I get 3 inches. That's it. The rest of it's up to me. So anyway, this is planting potatoes in a garden. we will do planting on a porch in a part 2, because this gets long and it's just easier to do that. I have 2 methods I want to show you and how you can make it pretty, but you know, I don't like to spend a lot of money, so I'm not going to go out and buy a whole lot of stuff. I'm not going to plant my entire porch up. I'm just going to show you one way to do it and make it pretty at the same time. So anyway, if you have any questions, please feel free to leave me a comment below. I appreciate your time, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day.